Car Talk Show in real time. Coming up this half hour, our Ram Tracks feature and the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars down there, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. We've been talking about a very famous Corvette lady named Betty Skelton. And Betty had a long history with Chevrolet and Corvette, and she knew all the movers and shakers within Chevrolet, especially back in the 1950s. Mm-hmm. She ultimately became inducted into the Corvette Hall of Fame.
And the National Corvette Museum.
At the National Corvette Museum. So let's talk to Derek Moore. He's the Director of Marketing and Communications at the National Corvette Museum out in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Derek, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, not a problem, guys. Good to see you as well.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your Saturday to join us. So, Betty Skelton, a great hero across several platforms, including aeronautics, and namely Corvettes. And she knew Bill Mitchell. She knew Zora Arkus Duntov, who I fortunately had the opportunity to meet before his death, and a great honor that was at a Corvette show that I attended. I'm a Corvette guy, have been for years and years and years, and I know that you being with the Corvette Museum, you've experienced a whole lot of us crazy Corvette people up there, and I know that not only have you experienced us, but still turning out a great product with the all-new C8 Corvette. I mean, what else can we say? Let's talk for a little bit about the Corvette Museum and what somebody can see when they go there. Unfortunately, I haven't made it there yet, but I do have plans, and it may be this year.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to seeing you up here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So really, I mean, when folks come to the museum, once we reopen from all the craziness that's going on in the world right now, I mean, they get a real rundown of Corvette history in the museum galleries themselves, starting out with actually some pre-Corvette history, talking about, the things that influenced Harley Earl, Ed Cole, Zora Duntov, all those guys to create Corvette. So European sports cars, early fiberglass automobiles, pre-Corvette. And of course, one of the earliest Corvette frames still in existence, we have the frame number 3 on display, which is a cutaway Corvette now. It's quite famous in the Corvette world. People can get a good look at that. And then as they walk through the museum, they get kind of the whole story of Corvette history, how it evolved over time, the people that were involved in it. And we're actually getting ready to open 2 new major exhibit galleries here in the museum, kind of 2 refreshed spaces. Our performance gallery is going to be all new when we reopen, highly interactive space for people to explore the performance and racing aspects of Corvette history. And then the other gallery is very, very tied into what you just mentioned, the new 2020 mid-engine Stingray Corvette. We actually have an exhibit coming in that we partnered with GM on, entitled The Vision Realized, and it is the history of the development of the mid-engine Corvette all the way back to Zora Arkus Duntov and Serve 1 and Serve 2, which everyone might recognize as the Chevrolet engineering research vehicles that Duntov built, that were both mid-engine concept cars.
So, Derek, what about Betty Skelton? I mean, she was quite the pioneer with Corvettes, because this was in the early days of the Corvette, and she was really instrumental in a lot of the things that we now come to recognize and know about the Corvette. Handling, working with, and being part of the entire Corvette experience. Harley Earl, Zora Duntov, she was there at the time.
That is 100% correct. And yeah, she's a huge, huge influence. Unfortunately, we don't have any of her cars in our collection yet. Obviously, we always hope that one of those cars will make its way here to the museum to live and be on exhibit. But in our new performance gallery, there's a couple artifacts that we're going to put in there to talk about women in Corvette's racing history. And I actually have one of those with me today. It's not a car, obviously, but I actually have, hopefully everyone can see this at home. You'll notice I have my white gloves on, of course.
Absolutely. Wow, look at that.
But This is, and I probably can't get it close enough to the camera. This is the 1956 Daytona Beach Trophy. So
Oh
this
my
is the
gosh.
trophy from when she ran 137.773 miles per hour on Daytona Beach. The same time Duntoff was there driving with her in 56. So that's going to be on display to talk about Betty's influence in, Corvette history. Of course, as you say, they built a special 1956 Corvette for her. She drove it down to Daytona Beach, ran the record run at Daytona, had a lot of feedback as well on Corvettes that she drove. And then they also built her a special car in 57, a special Corvette, Harley Earl and Bill Mitchell,
Is that
that she paced all of the NASCAR races.
was that the gold one?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact color. It was a weird color that they named it, but it was kind of a gold tone. Yep.
And does the museum know where some of these cars might be in other collections, or are some of them just kind of missing in action at this point?
We do. We actually know where the record run car is. It's in a private collection, as well as a car that Michael and I talked about that I think is the one that caught his attention. Betty's 1965 convertible Corvette, the red one with the black interior.
Right, yeah.
That was found in a garage in Pennsylvania just a few years ago. And it was actually on display here in an exhibit we did entitled From Gas Station to Space Station. It was the connection between Corvette and the astronauts. And we talked a lot about what you guys talked about with George, which was Betty's involvement in the Mercury 7 program. And so we know where that car lives as well. And, it's always available to be loaned to us to be on display here to talk about Betty's connection to Corvette. And of course, that's the car that she got while she was working at Campbell Ewald, advertising, as part of the advertising firm that did ads for Corvette. And that car actually appeared in a Campbell Ewald advertisement, and then it was given to Betty after that.
Derek, do you have a lot of people that reach out to you and say, hey, look what I've got? Would you like to see it? How about some pictures of it? That sort of thing when it comes to Corvettes? I would imagine that you do.
Oh yes, yeah, I get them all the time, and I don't want to sound like I'm jumping on you here. I wanted to correct one thing you said.
Yes.
I'm actually director of collections and curator here. I think Katie Ellison is going to be on next.
Correct.
And she is our director of marketing.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, thank you. Collections and curator.
But
Yes,
and Derek, in that, I worked for General Motors for a long time, and I was actually assigned to Bowling Green for 10 years, 99 to 2009. And I understand that the National Corvette Museum doesn't necessarily take cars on consignment, but a lot of collections will place cars in your care for display for a period of time. So some of those really unique cars, you still have an opportunity to display to the Corvette fanatics that are out there.
Yeah, that's correct. In the museum world, we bring in artifacts, as we refer to them, on loan. So cars come in on loan to us typically for about a year. We do have our own collection of Corvettes. The Corvette Museum now has just about, I think we're at like 98 Corvettes in our collection, and a couple other cars that relate to Corvette history that are not Corvette that live in our collection. But yes, we do bring in some of the significant cars on loan. Right now, we've got the 1957 SS that Duntoff built for the Sebring, 12 Hours of Sebring. That's on loan from Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. But just next week, we have some of you may know the car, the Dinwiddie Corvette, Dinwiddie Racing Corvette. It's a C3 Corvette that Lynn St. James actually drove back in the 1970s.
Yes.
That's coming in on loan from a private owner next week to be in our new performance gallery. Another one of those connections to women in Corvette history.
And actually, we have the gentleman that owns the 65 Corvette that Betty had that was found in the garage. He's talking to us on our Facebook page right now as well.
Oh, fantastic.
So kind of a small world, but we've been trying to reach out to as many people as we can to let them know that we were going to have you guys on to talk about Betty, and then later with Katie to talk about the museum in general.
So, Derek, are they making Corvettes up there right now?
They are, it sounds like from all the news we're hearing, they're going to start up production again in the next couple weeks. So
Very good.
We're going to see some 2020 Corvettes rolling off the line.
And we assume that the museum is open.
No, actually,
No.
we're still closed as of right now.
We
The state of Kentucky has not opened museums, educational facilities, and tourist attractions yet.
Any
So,
any
and I know
inkling
Katie's working hard on getting, trying to help get us open. So
any inkling as to when that might happen?
we're hoping within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh well, that's
And
good.
Katie,
Yeah.
Katie may have more answers for you because she's been more on top of that. I'm more trying to get the exhibits ready for that day we open.
For that lucky day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, Derek, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today and talking about Betty and all of the collections. Derek is the collections and curator director there at the Corvette Museum. Again, thank you, and we hope to see you when I come up there and get a tour.
I think we need to go up there.
I'll be giving
I
you
agree.
a call. Yeah, I'll be
I think
giving
it's
you a call.
all of you.
We'll take the in-wheel time bus up there. How's that?
That sounds great. Appreciate you guys having us on, and thanks. It's been great.
Thank you
Thank
very much,
you.
Derek. We really appreciate it. Derek Moore, Collections and Curator Director, National Corvette Museum. Time now for our